Good evening, everybody. So it's me, Ernell, and
Matt, hello.
So we are finally back after 2 weeks, I guess, that we didn't do any videos. We're just been busy lately, lots of going on, but we're happy. We're back again
Yes.
to do another episode. And Matt is going to interview me tonight about.
What it's like basically being a member of a minority group in Canada.
Nice. And thank you for doing that, because I'm very happy to share my experience and to inspire other people.
Perfect. And I'm excited to do this interview with you.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to go right into it. So, since you are from the Philippines, which
Yes.
is a beautiful place, I can't wait to go.
Yes.
Tell us about what your childhood was like in the Philippines.
Um. Well, so growing up, it's very interesting because it's very different. I mean, growing up, I have a nanny who's taking good care of me when I was a kid. And then I remember I am very active. I'm always play outside with my neighbors' kids. um, and then what else? Yeah, I'm a very outgoing kid. And then my mom is a public elementary teacher, and my dad works as a seafarer for Royal International Cruise Line.
Wow.
For Royal Caribbean, cruise ship, I should say. And then my dad is just going back in the Philippines maybe 2-3 months in a year. Yeah, and so growing up, I don't really have a father figure, I would say, because he's always away. But I'm very close to my mom. Philippines is very different country because the poverty rate is really bad. But even though many Filipinos are struggling in their life, they always smile and they're trying to be positive all the time, whatever they're experiencing in life. So, yeah.
Aw, well, that's very positive. That's very
Yeah.
positive thinking. And I mean, from the pictures you've shown me, it's a beautiful place, like very tropical. Apparently has some of the nicest beaches too.
Oh, yes, yes.
And for me, very historical. Like, I'd love to learn more about the history and the culture. And I know you're trying to teach me a little bit of the language, which
Yes.
I'm really excited about. Okay, so what was it like to come to Canada? And what was your first few months like here?
Oh, okay. I think I moved here when I was 15. 15.
So you were
15,
teenage
16,
years.
Yeah. It's very hard to move in a new country, especially you don't know anybody, you don't know the language. But the good thing is just the Philippine educational system. They taught us English, so I'm not really struggling communicating with other people when I arrive here in Canada. Oh my God. I think the most culture shock for me is the weather because we don't have a winter, we don't have snow in the Philippines. It's such a tropical country. We only have dry and rainy season. And I'm glad that in my new school, there's tons of Filipinos, so I don't really feel left out so I feel already belong. Yeah, so there's a lot of
Awesome.
Filipino kids in my school, so it's good. Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
Filipinos are everywhere. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Okay. Okay, this kind of has to go along with that. Like, how was your experience dealing with the language barrier? Like, did you find it extremely tricky? Like, were
Yeah,
you
like
able
for
to-
example, in the Philippines educational system, so they teach English, yes, but it's more in American English. So
Okay.
I think the funny story that I can share is like the spelling in Canada. So let's say color, COLOR in American, but in Canadian British, I think it's COLOUR. They say with labor. What else?
Cancel.
Canceled. Center is like century.
Yep.
CENTER, whatever. Because I remember my teacher puts like, oh, wrong spelling or something, and I was talking to my English teacher. Like, what's wrong? This is what I know. I was like, oh, and then she explained it to me. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I get it. So, yeah, that's the most kind of like different in here in Canada. Um, yeah, like the spelling, the way they say some words, the pronunciation. So I keep calling in my biology class in grade 11, I think. I keep calling it intestine, but it's intestine. So, like Tuesday is Tuesday or something like whatever. But I guess it depends where you're from, part of Canada, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like everywhere you go, there's always a little bit of a
different
dialect, right?
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, that's good.
But I didn't really struggle that much. But I watch. I think the one that really helps me to boost my English skills is I watch Hannah Montana and Seventh Heaven.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and then some Baywatch.
A Baywatch?
Yes. And I was like, what does that mean? What's a asshole mean? But yeah, there you go.
Oh, that sounds really cool. So it looked like you had it was a...
I think that the advice that I can give to, but there's a lot of people told me that I'm lucky because I came here, I'm young, so it's easy for me to learn and adjust myself. But I think the other way that you can learn the language is watch more English movies or any shows in TV, newspaper, magazines, and I don't want to sound rude, but avoid your own people for a while and try to go outside of the box and try to interact more with other people in a different background because it will help you a lot.
Well, and it's kind of like you're saying too, like, exactly what I was going to say for me and for us, we have friends that are from all different, countries, and it's kind of nice because you get, at least for me, I get to learn so much about like everybody's different culture.
Yes.
It's a really, I enjoy it. Like I'm learning different languages.
Actually, our group of friends is like United Nations.
Exactly. Like my one friend is Romanian. She was teaching me some Romanian. Like our friend is from Kenya and she's taught us some stuff. We have
Russian friend.
Russian friend. I have a friend from Ghana. I have another friend that was in university who was from Iran. So I learned a lot of stuff.
Name it, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like we kind of learned a lot. I love learning.
And that's actually speaking of that. That's what I really love Canada because it's a very diverse, multicultural country. So they embrace the difference of people. You don't feel that you're. Of course, racism is everywhere, but unfortunately. But looking back, there is. I experienced some racism, but it's not really strong racism in Canada, I would say. I heard a lot of more bad stories in Australia and US, but
really?
Yeah, but okay. And I don't want that to happen.
Well, actually, that kind of goes into my next question.
Okay.
It's like, have you ever experienced any, or your family, so you or your family experienced any racial prejudices, and if so, how did you overcome them?
Not really in a negative way, but in a positive way, because majority of Filipinos are working in healthcare. So when I meet Filipinos, they're gonna be like, "Oh, okay, so they assume I work as a nurse." I'm like, "No, I'm not. Well, kinda, but I work in a field of community and social services."
Yeah.
So it's not a negative thing, but like people are jumping in a conclusion right away that if you're Filipino, you can either be an RN, RPN, or a PSW. But hey, like Filipinos can do something else too. They could be accountant, lawyer, pharmacist, social worker, or something else. It's not only nursing, honey. So there you go. Yeah, but in a negative experience, I was walking one time on Jackson Square, and there's a group of like teenager. When I passed by her, you remember Payless? She was very Payless, and then they're like, so I walked by, they're like, "Oh, ching chong chong, ching chong chong." I'm like, well, doesn't mean if I'm Asian, I'm Chinese. Hello. So yeah, they're trying to mock me with Chinese something, but I'm like, no, I'm not Chinese.
Clearly, they don't know how many Asian countries there actually are, and every Asian country has a different culture, different language. So
that's what you're thinking. If you're Asian, either you're Chinese right away or you're from Korea or something. Like, Asia is huge, honey.
A lot of different countries, a lot of diverse cultures, a lot of amazing, places to see, a lot of amazing, historical places to visit. I want to go there. I want to travel as much as I can. Okay, okay. Now this one's kind of interesting. Like, as a Filipino man, as well as a gay man, what are some of the challenges that you've encountered? Have you ever encountered any challenges just because of like your culture or anything in the gay world?
Well, maybe some of you watched our previous video, but I'm just saying that being Asian and gay at the same time, it's not easy in LGBT community, especially in gay dating, because not all guys or Caucasian guys are into Asian men, which is unfortunately me. As what I said, I'm a potato queen. Potato queen, I'm repeating myself. Again, it means I'm a gay guy, I'm an Asian gay guy, but I'm more into white guys. But anyway, I'm a potato queen, but unfortunately, I'm struggling in gay dating because they're not really into Asian guys, unfortunately. But, what else? Yeah, but the positive thing about being Filipino, being gay, is in the Philippines, they really embrace LGBT, I will say, because wherever you go, mall, market, schools, wherever you go, there's a lot of gay guys in the Philippines. But the thing is, it's such a Catholic country. I think there's some Asian countries that are legalizing same-sex marriage now. There's a lot of politicians who made like a law that they wanna push the same sex in the Philippines, but it's always denied because even though they say yes, but that because the Catholic Church is big there, it's gonna be the conflict. Like no, whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think Taiwan is the first Asian country that legalized same sex, and Thailand, and so on and so on. So yeah, but being gay in the Philippines is not. You don't need to be afraid or fear if you walk there in the public. It's just, it's okay. It's normal.
Okay, well that's good. That's good to hear that. It's very accepting.
It's very accepting. Yeah.
Okay. Last question. Now, what advice can you give those in a similar situation? So, new people coming to the country. What advice can you give?
Okay. Well, I know it's not easy to move in a new country, especially if you move here with no family or friends. But just always be positive. Just always pray that you will be okay. Life is not easy. It's not, like they said, life is a beautiful struggle, You will face a lot of challenges, but work hard. If you really want to have a better life in Canada, to be specific, my advice is go back to school. Because the education is the only key to have a better job. Don't settle with something like, oh, I already found a job or something like. Don't get me wrong, job is a job, but if you want to be somebody and to better your life, invest to education. You never get wrong in schooling. That's it.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank
I'm
you
gonna
so much.
continue this with my thing.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So after Matt asked me those questions about my life experiences being a Filipino kid who was a newcomer a couple years ago, I am going to ask him some questions too about his condition. So we will learn more about Matt. Okay. So Matthew, what is your visual impairment?
So my visual impairment's called cone dystrophy. Basically, what it is if you were to look into the back of my eye, it's your optic nerve specifically. So your optic nerve is supposed to be like a pale pinky color, supposedly. But what it is with me, I've had some damage. So what it is if you look into the back of my eye, the optic nerve would be a very pale, almost white color.
Oh wow.
And also, my macula's affected. So what cone dystrophy is, it's like in your macula you have your rods and cones, and they're the ones that deal with your central vision, your peripheral vision, as well as your color vision. I was born with very few cones in my eyes. Your cones are what deal with your central vision. Now, the weird thing was, is for the longest time, I was told, ever since I was a kid, that it was my rods that were affected, that I had, that I had no peripheral, I wasn't able to drive, all this sort of thing. But up until maybe a few years ago, they said, oh no, it's, it's your central vision that's been affected. But the weird thing is, people with cone dystrophy, they can't see in their central vision, so they kind of zigzag because they have their side vision.
Oh wow!
They have their peripheral, but for me, I don't do that. So they've been trying to figure out well, your central vision's affected, but how come you're not zigzagging and bumping into things? And but I will admit, I'm a little bit slower. I take things a little bit slower just so that I don't trip over things, so especially going down the stairs and. And with reading, a lot of the time I have to get up really close or put on a magnifier if I'm working on the computer. But other than that,
I'm learning. Wow, that's very intense.
Yeah, it has its, I was born with it, so if I was to wake up with 20/20 vision tomorrow, I think it would scare me. I'd be in such a shock. I'd be like, I don't know what to do.
Right. Is that I don't know? Is that inborn? Right.
It's genetics. So it's
okay.
passed from, in my family, it's passed from females to males. Sometimes it skips generations. So I found my second cousin on my mom's side has it. He was born in the 70s, and then I ended up getting it, and then my sister's, one of her sons has it.
Oh, okay.
So there's a 50% chance.
50-50.
But it's passed from.
It's genetic.
It's genetic
to the male.
It's the females are the carriers, and it passes mainly to the males. Sometimes I had a friend who did actually have the same issue, and it's actually very rare in females, and she had it, her sister, but that was a very rare case. But most of the time, it's passed from females to males.
Oh, good to know. I'm learning new things. So my next question is, what was your childhood like with visual impairment growing up? How was it?
Honestly, my childhood was as pretty much anyone else's. I mean, it was pretty, it was pretty normal in the way that, my parents, run around playgrounds.
When you're playing in a playground or something, some kids are teasing you or something because you wear glasses or something like that?
Sometimes.
Because I watch that in the movies. Is that really happening?
I'd say sometimes. I think I didn't really have, on the playground with kids, I didn't have kids really picking at, because a lot of the time they just thought it was sunglasses.
Oh, okay.
A lot of them, because I had these big orange, really big orange lenses.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, kids and their parents on the playground just thought I was wearing just sunglasses.
And they think it's cool.
They thought it was cool a lot of sometimes.
Yeah.
I, of course, wasn't a big fan of wearing them because I felt like I stood out. But, I mean, I had to wear them. Otherwise, if I took them off, it'd just be too bright and I'd get a headache and I'd have to squint, and it was not fun. But no, I played sports. I was very careful. I did soccer.
You did soccer.
I did soccer. I did swimming. With the swimming, I just had to have specific goggles,
oh really?
Just so that I could see my underwater sort of thing. But I mean, I did swimming. I did curling. And for me, it was just hard to see. The only thing with curling is that it was just hard to see at the other end of the ice. So my grandfather came up with the idea that they used a flashlight, so I would be able to see. So they wanted me to just throw the rock, so they would shine the light where it needs to go, and that worked out. And then, I did running in high school.
Oh my God, you're so active.
I was at the time, and then I also did. I was in the I did plays. I did musicals. I mean,
you can sing.
There was obviously some sports I knew I couldn't do. I also did skating too. I did skating when I was a kid too. But I obviously knew there were some sports I just did not feel comfortable with. Hockey I couldn't do because I couldn't see the puck, and plus without I don't know if I'd be able to see through the helmet and all this sort of thing, and it just was too much. The glare from the ice was, with skating it was still glary, but I was able to, I knew people weren't coming at me with the puck, and I wasn't going to get hit with anything. and also football I couldn't do. Like football, I couldn't see the ball. And
so just a lot of limitations.
there was a few, yeah. Like my parents were great that they let me try a bunch of stuff. They always would say like, try it first. Don't just say no. Like that's the one thing they were good at. My parents were great with this. Like they said, like we want you to try everything. We want you to try everything. Yes, you have a visual impairment, but we want you to try just to see if you like it. Like, and I did a lot of stuff I tried, and I was able to find what I liked and what I didn't like.
That's good. Actually, my question is kind of same connected, but I'm not gonna ask this. But
No.
I'm going to move to the next question. What is the most difficult situation that you ever encounter in your life because of your visual impairment?
Because of my visual impairment,
In workplace, school.
I think a lot of the time, like there was a few incidences when I was playing soccer. This one incident. This was the first time that I had someone that was prejudiced in a way towards me because I have my vision. And what it was is I was on, and the sad thing was it was an adult. It was the coach of the soccer team, and what it was is, and it was just little league soccer. I was probably about 12, and what happened is that we were playing. It was in the summer, and there was one time I remember it was during a practice, and I said, the sun was really really bright, and my eyes were just really strained. Like even though I had my glasses on, it was just really really bright days. I have to be very careful because like my eyes get really really tired because they're light sensitive.
Yes.
So I have to be careful. So I just said to him, I said I was starting to get a headache. My eyes were squinting, and it was just getting really too hard to continue with the practice. I said, is it okay if I just sit under the tree, under the shade for like a few minutes, just so get out of the sun, get out, and so that I can my eyes can kind of adjust to a darker setting sort of thing. And he said, yeah, no problem. And then did it for about five minutes, went back in, and I continued. And then when I got home later that day, he called and my mom answered. And apparently he said that he thinks I should go down to like playing with 6-year-olds. So I was 12 playing with 6-year-olds because he said that, he didn't want me to get injured. He thought that, he didn't want me to get injured. He thought that, I could hurt myself, all those things. Basically what he wanted is didn't want me on his team because of my visual impairment, because he just strictly wanted a winning team.
A winning team, yes.
So, but, you know what, so basically he kicked me off the team because of my disability. Well, my mother was livid, of course.
Sorry to hear that.
Oh, that's okay. Well, you know what, it kind of came back on him because, yes, I got onto another team, and we faced that same team twice, and we beat them both times, and anytime I just saw him when we did the, good game at the end, and shook hands, I just went by and just had a big grin on my face, and then it turned out he got in trouble in the end because he ended up doing stuff that he shouldn't have been doing, and he was never allowed to be a coach again.
Oh my god.
So it kind of comes around.
Karma is big.
Karma is. And then there was, I would say there was one other incident, and this was a work issue. And it wasn't with anybody at work.
Okay, yeah.
It wasn't with anybody at work. And,
yes.
This was several years ago, and I just had somebody come up. We were closing, and I just had someone come up asking a question about some things, and I said, oh yeah, no problem. I said, this is the information here. You fill it out for your son or your daughter. And this person got really angry because she kept saying, oh, he's that she had a son. You can clearly tell. I'm like, I'm sorry, miss. Like, the child was wearing a hoodie. I couldn't tell. And I just basically said, I do apologize. I am legally blind. And she basically just said, oh yeah, you're legally blind and you look at a computer. I just said, I'm like, you know what, have a good day. I was very upset because I'm like, that is extremely rude. And I tried to explain, but some people are just like that. So I just had to bite my tongue and let it go. Yeah,
let it go, right? You just need to be professional at work. Sometimes you just want to hit or punch someone, but you just need to maintain your sophistication, right?
Yes, exactly. Bite your tongue and just remain calm.
Yes. And then meet you in the parking lot after.
No.
Okay. So what are the advice you can give to the other people that has the same condition as you?
My advice is, you know what?
Especially to the teenagers.
My advice, and even to younger people that have this, is, don't let it take control of you. Like, don't be defined by your disability. Obviously, I know it's hard. Especially if you're younger, you feel like people are going to judge you about that. But you know what? The thing that you need to, again, kind of like what I said last week, is you need to love yourself. And, you can just prove to yourself that you are able to do it. Try everything. You know, in sports, try everything. If you don't feel comfortable with it, that's fine. You'll find something that you feel comfortable with, and you know, do what you love. Like, I went to school. You know, for me, I went to university for history, which is like one of the heaviest for reading.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved, and I did it. And
This guy has a major in history.
yeah, and I did it, and I loved it, and yeah, it was a lot of reading, but you know, I just pushed through it, and you know, I loved what I did, and that's the main thing. Like, don't be defined by your disability. Do what you love. Yes, you might encounter challenges, but there's always a solution to it.
Exactly. It's kind of like connected, but as a gay man with disability, do you find it challenging to be part of the LGBTQ plus community?
I would say yes and no.
Yeah.
In the no ways, as I mean, it's kind of like similar to you. Like, you know, people automatically assume like they think I'm wearing sunglasses. Like, I've had people say like, "Oh, why are you wearing sunglasses?" Or they won't talk to me because they say like, "Oh, why aren't you showing your eyes?" And I'll be like, and I'll say like, "Oh, you know, I am legally blind," and they'll say, "Oh, like," and then they'll just not talk to me after that because they don't want to be associated with someone who has a disability. Because in their minds, someone with, you know, I shouldn't say that. I said, in my mind, I feel like they don't want to be with somebody that has a disability because they're like, oh, they don't understand it, they don't want to understand it, they're just like, oh, this person's not good enough. And I've had that a few times. I've had people like, you know, basically, and when I would tell them, they would say like, oh, like, you're not good enough for me, and you know, like, on the spot kind of thing.
Yeah.
But on the positive side, like, I met, you know, friends like you, like, who are very accepting, and you know, it doesn't, again, like, you don't be defined by your disability or
You're beautiful no
anything.
matter.
Like, like, you don't need to, like, don't let others to, like, degrade you because you have a
Exactly.
disability or you're from another country. Like, you need to love yourself. Again, I know I keep saying that, but it's true.
Yeah,
you need to love yourself.
and always be strong
Yes.
and believe that every individual is unique, no matter
Yes.
who and what you are, right?
Exactly.
Yes. And I think that's my last question to you.
Okay, good.
And thank you for your time.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for yours.
Yeah, we learn from each other.
Yeah.
And then I just want to say for our viewers who supporting our vlog, if you have anything in your mind that you want us to do, like any topic or subject that you're curious, anything, we're so open to make a video about it. We will try our best to answer if we can. Again, yeah, so thank you.
Oh, just want to give them your email so that they can...
Yeah, so you can email me at, well, Arnel, ARNEL _Rabago@hotmail.com. Or you can private message me in Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so thank you.
Thank you
and
so
stay
much.
safe. We are practicing all social distancing and
Yes.
everything is good. We're good, okay?
Yes, we are very safe. We're
So
very
all
safe.
good. All right. Okay, you take care.
Have a good day, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.